All right, everyone, it's that time you've been waiting for my glorious opinions and predictions of the 2024 League of Legends World Championships Grand Finals in the O2 Arena in London, England. I will say I almost went to this event, but then I got unlucky ticket timing, and then the resale was like too much money, so I didn't go. But what can you do? I'm here in my car instead to give you the analysis that you crave, because I know, the whole community's waiting for what I've got to say about this. So yeah, getting right into it. Billy Gaming, the number 1 LPL summer seed in general, versus T1, the technical number 4 seed. And if you go by just LCK, they were the 4th best team, which is criminal to say now. I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. I was working. You'll have to deal with some yawns. But let's get right into it. This is going to be a detailed breakdown. I wrote like a ton of words for this. So enjoy. That's all I can say. We'll do a quick rundown of how each team got here, just to, make sure everyone knows. BLG, their Swiss stage was a win versus Mad Lions, lost to LNG, lost to T1. We'll get to that. And then a 2-0 over PSG and a 2-1 over G2. Then 3-1ing HLE and a 3 over Weibo. T1 lost to TES, beat Pain Gaming, beat BLG. Again, we'll go over that. 2 overs versus G2. They had qualified to no round 5. Then a 3 over TES and a 3-1 over Gen G. So that's just a quick rundown. Let's get right into it. This is probably the most hype matchup we could have gotten, realistically, from the average fan's perspective. I think Gen G would have been kind of the one you would have wanted more as maybe more of a hardcore fan. It still would have been hype, but I mean, Faker and T1 just brings in a certain aura to the event that you cannot deny. Obviously, number 1 LPL, number 1 LCK, Choker versus Choker would have been really fun, but that's not what we got, and Gen G didn't play like they deserved to be here. So will LPL finally kill off Faker in the most important series that gets played? We've only had, 13 of these series ever played, so can they write some history, or is it written in the stars for T1's 5th title, which is crazy. Faker won his first Worlds when Bin was like 10 or something, and Zeus was 9. The guy's only not even that much older than me. What am I doing with my life, honestly? Can't believe it. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go through some detailed matchups, because I think that really will explain a lot more of the game if I just go lane by lane, long breakdowns of each, and then some kind of chill stuff after that. So let's get right into it. I think top is quite close. Obviously, the Bin Jax is an issue that cannot be taken lightly, and I think Zeus Gragas is also a concern, especially when you think of how game-busting that was against G2 in Game 1 of their best of 3. Just made it so hard for them to play the game. We will see if Maokai makes an appearance as well. I don't really like it. I think that should be a support. I think that's just a fad that needs to not show up. I don't think either of these players should be on a champion like that. If they're going to be on a tank, give me some Ornn if you must, but like Cassante, really, is there a better tank that you could be playing? Besides Gragas, obviously, but that has, that playmaking potential as well. Builds a bit of damage. In terms of who I favor more, I favor Bin in a pure mechanical setting, but that's not really what top lane is in the pro play. I mean, this is the guy, I believe he's the one that got the Fiora Penta in World Finals, so something to be said about that. The guy's a mechanical freak, but that's not the meta we're in. There's no Irelia, probably not going to see any Aatrox. Jax is probably the most skill-expressive champion, and he's a beast on the Jax. Don't get me wrong, but both these players bring something very different to their team, and I don't see anything crazy going on solo in the top lane. I could see solo kills happening in general, but I think we may possibly see some more adaptions to these matchups. I don't know. These two are just so close. Obviously, in a vacuum, I'd favor Bin, but Zeus just is a complete performer, absolute monster, and is just really good at neutralizing a player like this. And then we'll see how each team favors having a side lane heavy player. I think you can give Bin the Jax, to be honest, but I don't know. There are certain games it can't happen, but I think you can let it through, especially when you're banning from red side, obviously, because I don't think we'll be seeing any Skarner and stuff like that. and Aurora's probably not getting through once. And we'll get to other bans as we go down the list. But yeah, that's kind of my top lane breakdown. Jungle is a tale of two different styles. Both are, of course, very good players. With Owner is more of the role player. He's a consistent engage and peel, kind of the backbone of this T1 team. Really makes or breaks a lot of these engages. He's been making this tournament. So not much to say else there. Jean brings an aggression. Even on those same champs, though, he just kind of, it is an obviously different play style. He's willing to force a little more, kind of really get in there to look for advantages that maybe Owner wouldn't exactly look for. But they both looked great at this tournament again. But the Kindred is a curveball that BLG has, and I think T1 has to prepare for that because Jean looked really good on that when he picked it. It's puts a lot of AD in the jungle. It really opens up the Ziggs bot is something I've written here as well. That's something that Elk likes to play. And this really, really allows for that to happen without any concern of damage composition. And overall, it just adds such a wrinkle to the game with the Lamb's Respite that you have to respect it as a pick. And you got to be careful not to give it too good of a game. Like, be careful if jungle's not picked early, of picking, a 4 melee team like Kindred's going to eat that alive if you're not careful. In terms of like player for player, I think Jean can peak a little higher just because of that aggression. But I don't know, it's based on his confidence, but he's looking like he's having fun. He's happy to be with his team again. But yeah, jungle, like I've said, this whole tournament is not a cut and dry role. It's not like bot lane where it's like, well, that one 15 more CS and did 100 more DPM, so he's just the better player. No, it is different than that. I think it really is 50-50 with Jean just having more of that carry opportunity and opening up his draft a bit. But overall, they fill such different roles for their teams that I wouldn't be confident saying one is better than the other as a whole. I mean, at certain things, obviously, I think, Owner's a better pure engage peeler for the team fights. But I think Jean can, find maybe some more creative angles or just really influence the early game in ways that Owner has not done. Not that he's not capable of it, it's just not the way he plays. So yeah, that one's pretty 50-50, I won't lie. Mid lane, obviously this is exciting. The GOAT of China, it's like the Chovy of China, basically, except he's actually made it to World Finals, so got that monkey off the back of these, versus the GOAT, Faker, who's been looking great this tournament. This is so exciting. Both players are looking mechanically amazing, and they're able to play around their team so well when needed. I see potential for Akali to actually be quite prevalent. Both players looked fantastic on the one game they played of it in their semifinal matches. Hopefully maybe we can get some Silas Akali, like shades of 2022 finals, because that's so fun to watch. Both champs so dynamic, so fun, and they're both so good on both characters. I'd absolutely love to see it. I will also say both players very good at the Galio. That kind of ties into how they can play around their team more. I don't know. I have a feeling it's Silas Akali are just going to be quite important. I think a Galio might come out in a game or two. We'll see. Definitely a Faker champion. Obviously, LPL has very horrible memories of Faker on Galio 2017 RNG. Rest in peace, Uzi. Unlucky, man. But yeah. Also, both players don't play this brain rot grasp Ahri that just gets procs to make your brain give you dopamine, because I hate that. If you know, you know. In a pure mechanical sense, I would probably have to lean Knight just because he's the younger player. He's in his prime in terms of that. Not that Faker is lacking at all, obviously. I don't think he's just going to get solo killed mid, but I think Knight has a higher upside on a pure mechanical level. But I mean, Faker hasn't been your massive outplayer in a long time. That's not really been his role. He can, but, he's not Faker what was thatting you on Zed every single game anymore. He's very happy to pick a Galio and, lock it down for the boys. I'd be very surprised if we saw solo kills, to be honest. I think they're too good. That's right, car. Keep that light on me. Faker, though, I will say has had more oopsies, I think, just as a player has a tendency, there was that weird, quirky just like killed himself into the whole enemy team at one point in one of the games and like had a pretty bad Nico engage against TES, but like they're pretty one-off. This is a big moment. He's not going to be flashing into walls and all this other crazy stuff. I don't see any of that happening. But for what it's worth, if one player is going to do something kind of randomly goofy, it's just like Faker has that tendency in the last, like every 100 games. It's just like, oh, that was kind of weird. But yeah, circumstances-wise, I don't see that happening. Please, coaches, don't draft weird stuff for them. I don't want to see that Nico. I don't want to see Tristana. It's just not the meta that we're in anymore. I just don't like it that much. I don't see Smolder being the most prevalent. I think T1 has an advantage in draft, looking at their ability to maybe do that Yone Smolder trade. I think BLG needs to be ready for that and recognize that it is relevant because the matchup is so good. And T1 is a team that I would trust to play that kind of games more with that pure scaling with a Smolder-like champion. But we'll see. It's also kind of hard because Knight is not exactly the player that wants to play Yone. Obviously, he's good at it and can, but like, don't think that's really his first choice. Like, it's just not what he wants to be on, but if it's up, he may pick it. So maybe we even see that ban blue side by BLG a little bit. We'll see. I think it's a true 50-50 in the mid lane. It's so close. I'm so excited. I'm just hoping for bangers, really. Give me more of that fight that Faker had against Chovy in the mid lane. Oh, yes, please. So moving on, AD carry. It's an interesting one. Guma's been so consistent. He looked great on the Varus. Varus absolutely his champion. And Varus showing some priority, showing that lethality Varus. You know, if you're going to pick a lot of these squishies and like half bruisery champions, like as long as you can stay safe, which T1's been very good at keeping him safe, champion can hit hard. Can hit really hard. And Elk played a great Varus game as well. He like blew up that Renata at one point in game 1 against Weibo. Just both very, very skilled players, but Varus definitely the Guma champ. Elk has been amazing at this tournament. I think he's been the best AD carry at this tournament. His Kai'Sa is an issue, and it's especially an issue because I don't think you can focus it in draft. Like, you cannot be wasting bans on Kai'Sa, I don't think, because there are just bigger issues. Aurora, Skarner, Yone, Smolder, Jax, things like this. I just don't think the AD carry pool is strong enough to warrant these bans first phase very much, especially with Ezreal running around catching bans. Ezreal and Ashe kind of the ones catching the most bans. And yeah, I think he definitely could get it if he wants it. And it's going to be hard to punish it too much, especially if things like Ashe are getting banned. Guma has his Xayah. He's one of the best Xayah players ever. I still think 2019 Perks was better. I miss that so badly. No one ever played the character that good, but I digress. I just think Xayah is a little average in this meta. A lot of the lane matchups are pretty hard for her. Ashe, MF, Ezreal, and especially those three are quite bad matchups. Zig's one of the worst matchups for her as well. Elk very capable of bringing that out. And Kai'Sa's like, I always saw it as like 55-45 Kai'Sa, just with the repositioning ability alone. The lane's not bad though. I play a lot of Xayah if you don't know, so gotta get that in there. Another thing, I think BLG has amazing target selection in these team fights, and that's going to be a big deal because, especially in that Gen G series, man, Guma wasn't touched. Like, he was just sitting there on Ashe free-firing, murdering the whole team in some of those games. BLG does not let that happen. They, like, Light, as fed as he was on that Kalista in game 1 of the semifinals, he did not get to play very much if BLG didn't want him to. And that's especially a big deal when you've got Varus, Ashe, MF, not mobile characters at all. Like, insta die, no cleanse, no flash, you're dead. Like, you're just a worse champion. And I think that's going to be a big deal as well. Not that that's as much of an AD carry issue specifically, player-wise, but I am leaning Elk in this matchup. I think his ability to carry hard fights as well is crucial. He just put himself in the fire, complete monster, willing to get in there. Man, I think this Kai'Sa is going to be a big pick. I just have such a big feeling that it's going to be a big problem. And no offense to Gumayushi, I just don't think he'll be allowed to play the fights like he was against Gen G. I think BLG is just so good at accessing that backline, no matter what, just finding ways to make it so hard to play AD against them. And that's not even, again, it's nothing against Guma. I just think Elk is just in the better situation, basically. So yeah, moving on to support. There's potential for spice in this one. Obviously, the Pyke exists. I don't think they should pick that champion if they want to win. I don't like it. I don't like it, personally. It's just too risky, I think. But aside from that, I think it is going to be pretty controlled by draft. I think the big one is Rakan. That's probably a permaban, I feel like. I don't think you can give either of these players Rakan, especially On's Rakan. Nice. Especially with the Kai'Sa coming over the top is just, I think it's too much to let through. Rakan is easily overtaken as the best support at the tournament over Rel. So I don't think we'll see either of these mechanical freaks be getting that. Probably a blue side ban, mostly. Again, Pyke is interesting, but I just don't like it. I think we're going to see, a lot of Rel, Leona, Alistar, Nautilus, Renata type things. Renata maybe only with the Callista. But it's going to come down to just who plays better. And I think they're both good enough that as long as no one pulls a Lehens, it's going to be pretty 50-50. I don't know that we see any enchanters, though I could see like a Gumayushi Zeri coming out in a game, like if they saw the angle for it. But I think if you go Zeri, I think there's maybe just commit to it, drop a Lulu on there, see what happens, like go for it, kind of like if you see the angle, I could see that coming out. But other than that, standard tank supports, realistically, Kai'Sa enablers, big peelers, Rel especially, big contest, I think. But yeah, overall player for player, I think I lean like 53-47 BLG due to Elk and Knight's theoretical peaks. Mostly Elk. I think Elk is just, he's so good, man. He's so good. And I think just at the level they've been playing, Knight and Elk are at that level. They're looking locked in for this finals, and I hope they stay that way. So that's the lane breakdowns. Let's get into some general points now. I'm so hyped for this matchup. Again, both teams are looking awesome. The storylines are awesome. 5 Chinese players for the first time ever could win the World Championships. There's always been some Koreans on their teams no matter what. And, you got Knight, the Chovy of the LPL, won everything but Worlds, and he has a chance to do it. And then you've got the 3-in-a-row finalist T1 team, just unaging monster and Faker carrying the youngins. Not on his back, but they carry each other. It's like a unstoppable package of doom when it comes to the World Championships. BLG is a very flexible team, very capable of winning from behind. T1 is also capable of comebacks, of course. And I think they're more flexible than they've even shown. They haven't had to show too much. They haven't been through too much adversity because realistically the game they lost to Gen G, they just got blown the fuck out. So it didn't even matter. Like that game was just over. Because Gen G decided to play like their peak for one game. They just thought it was a best of one or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I think it's also T1's flexibility is also due to the longevity of the roster. They're just comfortable with each other. They have trust in their systems and things like that. That being said, I think T1 is a bit more rigid play style wise than T1, especially with Jun being able to pivot into that carry role. BLG did drop the BO1 to T1 at Worlds, but that BLG did not look the same as playoffs BLG. It's not like they look bad in that series. They kind of just came out behind in every exchange in that game until they eventually lost. But they look a lot better now. Way scarier team now. I don't put too much stock in that personally, but do that what you will. Where BLG is favored, I think they are more favored in the scrappy games. Not that they're not good at the slow controlled games. I just think when there's a bit of chaos to it, players like Elk and Knight are who I'd want on my team. Because that LCK macro style, I think it's dead even. So, which is weird to say about an LPL team, to be honest. Both teams have an amazing understanding of how to play the map and exploit these small advantages. I just think BLG has seen a wider range of chaos and can thrive in it a little more personally. I mean, these are really small, like, itty-bitty advantages, like 2% advantages. We're really picking at straws. These teams are so close. That's right. But I think the biggest advantage for BLG is their ability to play team fights so well. especially because when they start to break down as, oh, it's not front to back anymore, we're diving the back line, that's where they've shown their best work, and I don't know how T1's going to deal with that. Is Guma ready to just get pounced on by 3 dudes in a Kaisa playing Ashe, and like, can T1 recover that after they've committed a few summoners and flashes and ultis onto that AD carry? Because BLG just really knows how to win once they're ahead in those fights, and knows how to come back if they see the right angle. It's just such a fun team to watch. They've just had, they had the best fight at the tournament against HLE. T1's biggest advantage, aside from like player comfort on the big stage, I think it is like their ability to deviate slightly in terms of how you play team compositions. Just, they throw like these mini curveballs to you, and it can happen in draft as well. Think the Gragas from G2, especially. It just always feels like they've got the ability to switch something up, and in a way that just feels like it's going to be effective, not like gimmicky. It's really hard to quantify what I mean by that, but it's like, oh man, this is the game that they just triple ganked this dude top and put him out of the game, sacrificing jungle, but they've already, split the map correctly. Like, stuff like that. You just feel like T1 they've got that X factor about them that they can really just pull something out and it's going to work. Like a C9 in finals doing the Scion steal of the buff and the Grump. Just little things like that. It just feels like T1 always has that extra bit you need to beat them by. And maybe that's just due to how well the players play together. They just feel inevitable in a way. And I think it's a real quantifiable advantage, honestly. I do think they have the draft advantage as well. Just because I'm always worried with LPL drafting, man. And T1 is a great drafting team, I think. So we'll see. I do think they employ the Yone Smolder trade. I think they might try and sneak that one in there. So BLG should look out for that. If you're watching BLG, cut me in on your winnings if you win. Thank you. Aside from that, BLG has a lot to gain from this win. They'd basically be national heroes, being the first all-Chinese team to win and beating the LPL Slayers. Like, that's a lot of pressure, but also a lot of, excitement. And I don't think the pressure's going to get to players like this. They're all rock solid. Yes, it's the World Finals, big lights and everything, but in the end, been at Worlds for a month and a half already. Like, they're ready for this. Hopefully we don't see who was it? Was it Rookie that bought no items Game 5 on LeBlanc against KT Rolster? Quarterfinals of Worlds 2018. I don't think we'll see any stuff like that. God, I hope not. I'm just so excited. So let's get into my final prediction here. Well, I guess I can say T1, obviously, they'd win 2 out of 3 of the last Worlds. 5 titles for Faker, 5 titles for the organization. Monstrous. Cementing this roster as absolutely the most dominant force internationally, worlds-wise, ever. Undisputed best roster ever by results, no matter what. Proving the longevity is just, it's unmatched. Oh, those T1 players are going to make a lot of money if they win this one. This would be a big, yeah. But again, just so excited for this. My prediction, officially, I think we either just anticlimactic. I think there's 4 outcomes possible. A 3-0 either way, where either BLG just goes out and just mechanically booty blasts T1 like out of the water, smashes the trash out of them. Like, that could happen. T1 comes out and like does what they did to Weibo, just, well, Weibo had some of the shy problems in the finals, to be fair, but I don't know, the 3-0s, I could see like the lopsided version of each team's 3-0, like just a full out macro, out everything T1 masterclass, or just BLG just running right at them and just blowing through 3 games in a row, kind of putting them on the back foot. Or it's a 3-2 either way and a banger, and that's my prediction. I think it's a 3-2-4 BLG. I think, I know I've picked against T1 like basically all the time in this tournament, but I always feel like it's been maybe the TS pick was not quite right to do, but I think it was fair to pick G2 to beat T1 at the time. I think there was hope for that. Man, rip G2. They played all the good teams. Terrible draw. Maybe I'll flame the Swiss system for League later. I don't know. I have to think about if I hate it or not. I'm not European, so I'm not that mad in the end. But yeah, it's so close. I just think BLG is who I would, in a vacuum, expect to win, so that's who I'm going with. And I just have a feeling like I got a lot of faith in Elk, man. This Elk Kaisa, the more I've talked about it, even in this just recording, I just see him doing some stuff. Even if it's only one game he gets it, I think he's a monster. I think he is the X factor. I think the AD carry position is going to sneakily be so important. Not that Guma's not good. I just think BLG's got a way they play with Elk and against other AD carries that is so good. And even then, I still think we're going to Silver Scrapes. Truly. How would we go? I'm not going game by game. I just can't do it. I just can't. I'm so excited. Everyone, it's been great covering Worlds with the few, however many of you have been watching. I appreciate it. It's been fun. Enjoy the games. Go BLG, go T1, whoever you're rooting for. Just enjoy. It's been a good World Championships. And just pray for 5 games. No matter who you want to win, you should want 5 games out of this. At least 4. No sweeps. No sweeps, please. Those are so boring. All right. I'm signing off. I'll probably do a quick finals recap, but it's the last big one. Hope you enjoyed me covering this stuff. And I'll see you doing something else, maybe if I feel like recording more stuff in my car for fun. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, please. Or don't. Let's go BLG. I want BLG to win. I really do. I like BLG more. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm ending the video.